Hey man, rest in peace, my man Jason. I love you, homie. Anybody that's lost one, this is real.
You love how you push me to the point of crazy, and I love when you're on your knees and begging for me. You got me good with all these mind games. There you go, you got my heart again. Say my name, I wanna hear you call. Hold me close, I wanna feel your heart. I'm in a cold sweat and I want you back.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
You got me all in my head like damn.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out to love again. I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out to love again. I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out to love again. I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out.
Man, ain't nothing funny. I got a couple homies, they be asking how I'm living. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I live now, ain't nothing funny. I said I never go to sleep, man, I'm on a mission. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I live now, ain't nothing funny. 5 homies last night, found them with the flashlight. Depths of the darkness, bent spoon and a crack pipe. It's like he jackknife right up off the road. 18 months clean, ready, set, go. Like he never regretted the path he was headed, and now he forever indebted to this shiny new penny. He got that blowing confetti when I open like Fetty. Wop as I watch him thinking in the cup of Ferretti. He want that one more piece, thinking it'll make it better. Long as he right there with her, she ain't gotta shake a feather. He bring the money, she bring the pain. She asking him how much you love me, don't say it, just put it in my vein. She want that rush, he want that touch. They say they don't need nobody else, cause all we need is us. And nothing could be further from the truth. So every time we close the meeting, I'm giving a moment of silence to you.
Say my name, I wanna hear you call. Hold me close, I wanna feel your heart. I'm in a cold sweat and I want you back.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
You got me all in my head like damn.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out to love again. I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out to love again. I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out to love again. I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out.
Man, ain't nothing funny. I got a couple homies, they be asking how I'm living. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I live now, ain't nothing funny. I said I never go to sleep, man, I'm on a mission. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I live now, ain't nothing funny. Ain't no way to get rid of this shit, is insidious. And you thinking it's only affecting the inner city kids. From the county to the country and all across the globe. People thinking they finding love from what they put inside their nose. My homie sent me a text that I see you on the other side and I only wish you the best. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? But it was just radio silence as I listened for the sirens. I didn't know what was next. Did he take his last breath? Did he take his own life? Cause he didn't know what was left. I'm sitting here looking at my phone so powerless. Like what can I do right now to get him out of this? I'm dialing frantic. Man, I'm trying not to panic. I know right at this very second he's dying, it's apparent. It was 2 months to the day that I got his last message. All I can hope is that he's at peace with where he's resting.
I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you out, show you out, show you out.
Man, ain't nothing funny. I got a couple homies, they be asking how I'm living. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I live now, ain't nothing funny. I said I never go to sleep, man, I'm on a mission. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I live now, ain't nothing funny.
Sorry, should be able to hear me now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the 11th episode of the A.live Podcast. And this podcast is the podcast where I talk about myself. You know, I'm in the podcast studio alone. I'm actually here alone. The rest of the team, the fam, is out in Dallas at Recovery's Got Talent. It's a talent show put on by M to the Rock from M to the Rock Radio in Dallas, Texas. And they did an audition to find out, who in the recovery community has talent. So they're doing a talent show. It's a lot like America's Got Talent, run by people in recovery, featuring people in recovery, and we are Cloud Gang, featuring Ram 1, B Rain, and Joe Nestor. They're performing at the show. So the whole team's out in Dallas right now, and I figured, what a better way to spend Thursday night. What's up, B Rain? I see you tuned in, bro. That's what's up. Hey, yo, you guys kill it out there tonight at, Recovery's Got Talent. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to be a part of this movement. We are Cloud Gang. So I'm going to jump into this podcast. This is the pod, and I have a lot of important things to talk about and important topics. I'm going to touch on my experience in addiction and my experience in a program of recovery. I'm going to talk about overdoses. I'm going to talk about statistics. I'm going to talk about how to avoid or remedy overdoses. Talk about Narcan. I'm going to talk about just a lot of things, man. I'm really just going to touch on who I am and who is A.live Panda. So we're going to get right to that, ladies and gentlemen, in just a minute. So again, if you're just tuning in, this is the A.live Podcast, episode 11. And I titled this podcast, who is A.live Panda, because I've had a lot of people wondering. And just to correct and clear the air, I'm going to describe how, the panda became about and why a panda and who is the man behind the mask, pretty much, as B Rain would say. And I do want to shout out again, B Rain, shout out the whole team, really. Cloud Gang is performing. They're the headline performers at Recovery's Got Talent. So they're at the Majestic Theater in Dallas, Texas right now. And they're doing their thing, and I had to hold it down here and, show up for work. Because that's what I do. That's what we do, man. We do the responsible things, and we are productive members of society today. So I'm going to share about a lot of things today on the podcast. Miss you guys out there. We are Cloud Gang, So let's jump into it, man. Where do I begin, really? I want to talk about, what my life was like before recovery. So I'm going to try my best. Look, I'm a little nervous. I got to be honest with you guys, because this is the first podcast where it's really focused on me and who I am. So when it comes to talking about myself, I am a little bit nervous, to be honest. And it's funny because, there's nobody in here with me. So I'm talking to a set of, 2 cameras to an audience of people that I don't know who are tuned in. And, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, and I'm going to be talking about some things that, just are very personal to me, and personal things that happened in my life that brought me to my knees, so they say, and brought me to a point of surrender where I could come into the program of recovery that I'm in now. And so with that out of the way, I'm going to do my best to give you a clear and concise message of recovery. And, I'm going to try not to jump around too much, but I know it's inevitable. So, but first and foremost, I really just want to take the time to thank the God of my understanding for another day clean and serene in this process. And it truly is a process. And that is something that my sponsor would say before he shares every time we're in a recovery setting together. So, and I just really wanted to take the time to give it away. And, I actually spent some time praying before the podcast, just asking God to reveal to me what the real reason is, I decided to not just do this episode of the podcast, but, help deliver a clear and concise message of recovery to people and give people hope and strength. And I'm not just talking about addicts and addiction. I'm talking about family members and friends of addicts, because it's a family disease, and it does affect everybody that surrounds the addict. When we're in our active addiction, we're like tornadoes, and it's we just like clear and wreck everything in the path that's around us, and it's really an addiction and a disease of that affects a whole family. So, man, where do I start? I guess I'll start from the beginning. So basically, I'm gonna estimate. I'm not gonna try to guess the years. I'm just gonna try to guess the ages that I went through these things in this timeline series that I'm going to present to you. And this is the timeline series. That's not really the best way to put it, but this is the timeline of my addiction, so to speak. So, and there's so much to talk about, man. There's really a lot to say here, and I'm not going to be able to touch on all of it in one podcast. So, if you want to learn more about me or just the disease of addiction and how we can come together and be better in this process, then tune back into the podcast next week. Actually, not next week, but actually this Sunday I'm going to be doing another podcast with a guest, Matt C. And we nicknamed him Matty Ice. And if you've ever drinking the beer Natty Ice, you would get that reference there. So, but Matt is in recovery as well. So, I'm going to try now to focus on myself and talk about what it was like for me. So, I would say around the age of 12 years old, I discovered, really what it was like to feel something that wasn't in and of my natural being. So, what I mean by that is around that time is when I discovered my parents' liquor cabinet. And, I feel like that's how a lot of people that I know in this process really start, is alcohol or marijuana. And, both of which are gateway drugs. And that term gateway drug has a stigma around it that just, a lot of people don't like that phrase, gateway drug. But I truly believe that, alcohol, marijuana, cigarettes, coffee. A shout out to Matty Ice for getting me this mug for the holidays. We appreciate you, bro. Excuse me. So, gateway drugs, man. And like alcohol was that for me. So, I felt the effects of the alcohol. And I loved what it did for me. It took me outside of myself. It dictated my feelings, because when we're not using and we're living a natural life, not putting anything in our bodies that's mood or mind altering, we have no real control over what we feel from one moment to the next. So for me, when I felt that alcohol hit my bloodstream and I felt the effects of that, for me, it was just like, this is it. This is it. I need this to be able to control what I'm feeling, because I don't always like what I'm feeling. Like a lot of addicts, and I'm sure a lot of people, normal people, we call them normies. I'm sure everybody has those uncomfortable feelings that they don't want to feel. And so a lot of people will resort to drugs and alcohol for that. And that's what really jump-started my addiction, if you will. So I want to shout out to all the listeners that are tuning in right now. Thanks for your support. And so that alcohol really jump-started my addiction. Soon after alcohol, I discovered marijuana. I was in I was in middle school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in college. And I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in middle school, and I was in high school, and I was in mi it wasn't too long after the alcohol. I think maybe I was 14 years old. So I discovered marijuana. It was offered to me on a specific day of the year that people celebrate smoking pot. And most of you know what that day is. It's April 20th, 420. And I didn't feel any effects the first time. I was like, this is stupid. And the person that introduced me to it assured me that, most people don't get high on the first experience. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this again. And if it doesn't work the next time, then, I have no interest in this, because I know that alcohol will do for me what the marijuana can't. And that's dictate and control my feelings and feel something other than what is naturally occurring inside of my emotional body as a young teenage boy. So I did it again, and I smoked the marijuana, and it wasn't long after I took the first puff that I started feeling funny, and I was like, this feels a little bit better than alcohol. I think I like this better. So I'm telling you, for the next 10 to 15 years, I tried my best to smoke pot every single day. And that was my goal. That was my really my only goal. And this whole time I'm growing up and I'm in high school and I'm in school and I'm getting decent grades, I fail a class from time to time, but nothing that is like holding me back in my curriculum. I'm able to move forward from 6th to 7th to 8th, 9th, and I get the whole way up to through high school without really having a plan for my life. What is Aaron going to do after I get out of high school? And so, I have a brother. He's 19 months older than me. And he always had something different, that he wanted to do when he grew up. And so he always had a plan, and he got out of high school and he went on to college, and then he decided that he wanted to, drop out of college and go for his pilot's license. And then after he got that, he went into Coast Guard training school, and then he joined the Coast Guard, and he has a successful life, and I'm very proud of him. And these are the things that I was not able to do because I was too busy chasing that next high, chasing that next fix, I want to say, because that's all I really wanted. That was my whole goal each morning when I woke up. And from that point that I took my first hit of marijuana, that I took my last marijuana. It wasn't until I was in my mid-20s, I should say, that I realized I'm an addict. There's something wrong here. There's something seriously wrong. And the marijuana is not what did it for me. And I want to come back to that a little bit later. Soon into my 20s, I learned about pills, and different pills would make you feel different things. And, some of them made you tired. Some of them gave you energy, and some of them made you feel good and euphoric and kill pain. And those painkillers are the ones that really got me hooked. I was like, the marijuana is good, but these painkillers are better. So I continue to chase the next high with the painkiller now. And it started with Percocets, Vicodin, Tylenol 3s even, and codeine syrup, morphine, oxycodone, Oxycontin, and the Oxycontin epidemic really took off right when I was in the midst of finding out what these pills were really doing for me. So it was easy to get a hold of. There was a lot of it around. People all over the place were getting prescriptions for injuries and, end of life diagnoses, and like cancer, and a lot of people just sold them, and fed teenagers and people in their mid-20s and turn them into addicts that couldn't live without it. Because for those of people who may be tuning in that don't know about what opiates do to your body, I mean, you become physically dependent to opiates very rapidly, and it's very hard to get off of them. It's easier to just keep chasing that high, and so that you don't get physically ill. Because you get physically ill, you can't go to work, you can't function in society, you can't do normal things without getting that fix first. So it's, you become dependent on these opioid drugs. And so that's really what began the opioid epidemic, in my opinion, and it's turned into an opioid pandemic, because the word epidemic isn't large enough of a scale of a word to describe what this opioid pandemic really is. And a pandemic is a worldwide problem, where an epidemic is more affecting a community. And so you still hear the opioid epidemic this, the opioid epidemic that, and it's really a pandemic. It's the opioid pandemic, and it's affecting so many lives, man, and it's just ruining people, and it's killing people. It's killing people's children, their wives, their husbands, their relatives, their sons, their mothers, and it's really a shame. So what happened after the Oxycontins went away? Because the FDA, at some point, they realized that what the Oxycontin was doing. So they tried to modify that pill and make it so you can't crush it up and snort it anymore. You can't put water on it and inject it into your veins. You can't do any of these things anymore, because the FDA modified the pill, and they cut back, and they started to only allow certain doctors to prescribe under more strict circumstances. So what happened, right? Well, heroin came in and was like, hey, I feel just as good. You have to spend less money to get that same feeling. And, I'm just as easy to get as the Oxycontins were during that period of time where they were easy to get a hold of. So what happened? A lot of these people, including myself, decided, well, this is the easier way to maintain my addiction, is the cheapest way, and it's the most readily available. So a lot of people found themselves switching to heroin, and that was at a different time. The heroin is completely different now. I mean, I would say I was in like my mid-20s when it was available to me, and I started using it every day from probably age 25 to 31. Yeah, that sounds about right. And so during that time, I would do anything. I would do anything just to get that next fix. Like, I thought the marijuana was addicting, and I thought the marijuana took me to levels that just doing things I never thought I would do just to be able to afford marijuana. Doing simple, like, 5-finger discounts at the convenience store so I could sell, Joe Schmo on the corner, a pack of cigarettes or something, so I could get like a nickel bag of marijuana. There was just all kinds of things that I thought I would never do to obtain marijuana. And so the heroin came along, and it was a matter of, I need this now. I need this because I'm physically dependent on it, and my body needs this to function. So I started doing things that I never thought that I would do. I mean, I would literally army crawl to my mom's purse when she would be in the same room. I would get out her wallet, take $20, sneak out the back door, drive to the dope man when he said he would be there in 20 minutes, and I'd be waiting an hour and 20 minutes for him to arrive. My mom would be calling my phone frantically, "Where'd you go? Where'd you go? What are you doing?" Because she knew something was up. And, I would do these things, and I would, in the moment when I had to go get the fix, the next drug, I was like, I didn't feel bad about it. I felt a sense of like, yeah, I'm a little shameful, But it was all about that next high, man. It didn't matter to me who I hurt to get that next high. And so I did things like that. And, you know, at one point in time, I went on to westernunion.com and I, you know, took my mom's credit card. I set up an account under her name and I freaking wired myself money. And these were things that I thought to myself, you know, I would never do that. I would never do something like that, you know. I stole thousands of dollars from my family. And it's just unbelievable, some of the things I did. So during this time, and you know, I'm very fortunate because in our recovery literature, there's always a means to an end with addiction. And there's 3 specific ones that they talk about. They talk about jails, institutions, and death. I've come close to death. I'm still here. I'm A.live Panda. So you know that means I never died. Came close. And I want to talk about those situations here in a little bit. But death, institutions, meaning rehabs or hospitals or, you know, group homes, whatever it be, or jail. So jails, institutions, and death. And fortunately, I've only had to experience one of those. But I was never exempt, and I'm still not exempt. You know, I'm still an addict today. I'm just an addict in recovery, and that's what makes me different from the way I used to be. And so, you know, I just want to show you guys what addiction looked like for me. And this may be a little shocking to some people, so I'm going to give you a fair warning and let you know that these pictures I'm about to show you, it's not even really me in there. It's almost as if a demon took over my soul, and that demon was really, it was heroin. So this was me and my active addiction. And it's, you know, I found this picture about 2 weeks ago or something. I was just browsing through pictures and I came across this, and like my stomach and my heart dropped, and I couldn't believe what I was looking at, you know. I couldn't believe that was me. It's not me. That's not me in there. Like, what is that? And then I found another one. And so here's another picture. And this one was closer to the end of my active addiction, and it really just, there's no doubt in my mind that I wasn't home, like I wasn't there. You know, my addiction took me to a place where I didn't care about anybody. I didn't care about anything. All I wanted was that next fix, and eventually I got to a point where I didn't even want to live anymore. Because I had died a spiritual death. I had died a spiritual death, and I felt like, you know, dying a physical death would have been easier than to continue to live on the way I was. And so, you know, I just wanted to talk about and show you guys what that looked like for me. It wasn't pretty. And what it looked like for my family. Like, I can't believe I put my parents through that. So, Mom, if you're watching this, you know, eventually one day I want to make it right to you. And, you know, that I work a 12-step program of recovery, and I'm not at that point in my step working process where it's time to make amends. So, and I have a long way to go. This is a lifelong process for me. So what's recovery like for me now? Good question, A.live, you know, since I'm over here talking to myself. Recovery for me now has been an amazing journey. I mean, there was times in my active addiction where I tried to come to a program of recovery, and I would get 30 days, 60 days, 90 days clean, and then I'd go back out, and I come back and I get another 30 days, go back out for more research, come back into the program, get another 60 days. one time I got 9 months clean, and in about 11 days, I'm getting ready to celebrate 1 year clean for my first time. That's right, baby. 1 year, man. And the gratitude that I feel every day when I wake up clean and sober, and not having to go out there and get another drug and put another one in my body. It's a blessing. It really is. And what brought me to serious recovery, man, and that's, I'm just reading some comments that people are dropping on the live feed right now. But really what I'm going to do, and what I'd like to do here shortly, is I'd like to open up the A.live hotline for callers to call in. Bamboo. My man Brady. I'd like to open up the hotline here. So I guess really before I talk about my recovery and what this year has been like for me, I'm going to open up the podcast, open up the A.live hotline for callers to call in live. But before I do that, I want to talk about, because I did say I was going to talk about some of the times I overdosed, and there was this one particular night, April 21st, 2016. I'll never forget that day. And I had, at that point, I think I had somewhere between 30 to 60 days clean. I was going to meetings, and I was, starting my process of recovery. But I had never really done any work on myself. I was just showing up, meeting people, trying to get a network of people that would help me in this process. And at this point, this was probably my 6th or 7th attempt at recovery. And I decided that I was going to go out and use the one night. And my mom had Narcan. And so what is Narcan? And I'm going to talk about this a little later. This is Narcan, and I'm going to tell you guys where you can get it. And what it does is it saves lives for ODing addicts. And so basically, my mom had this Narcan because she knew I was an opioid user. She knew I was injecting heroin into my bloodstream every day. And she, thought, it's better to have Narcan and not need it than to need Narcan and not have it. So she had it in her medicine cabinet, and I knew where it was, and I had this time clean. And when you're an opioid user and you have some time clean, your tolerance comes down. So when you go back out, you're very likely to overdose. So I knew what I was doing was playing with fire, and it was very risky. But regardless, I went out, and I decided I was going to get high. And so I took the Narcan with me, and I put it on my passenger seat. And I went out and I bought 10 bags of heroin. They call that a bundle on the streets. And I bought this bundle, and I was, injecting 3 bags at a time throughout the night. So I get to where I've done 7 bags throughout the day, and I have 4 left. And I remember taking 2 and putting them in the syringe and putting it in my arm and injecting it. And I was still coherent for about another hour. And eventually, it was late at night. It was probably 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And I decided I had to go to the bathroom and then go to bed. So while I'm in the bathroom, I'm sitting on the toilet, and this story is by no means glamorous. So if you tune into this podcast thinking you're going to hear stories, and I'll get to the good part of my recovery after we take a short break here and open up the hotline as well. But this is not a glamorous story. So I was sitting on the toilet. My boxers were down around my ankles, and that's all I was wearing. And this was an hour after I injected my last dose. And all I remember from that point is waking up to paramedics, and they said, "Here it comes." And I was laying on the floor, butt naked. My parents were in the bathroom. There was 3 or 4 cops and 2 paramedics upstairs in a small bathroom, and the hallway upstairs, and some in my room that were looking for the drugs. some of the police officers. So, but I remember just waking up and them saying, "Here it comes," and I sat up, and next thing you know, I just puked projectile vomit all over the place, and I was like, "What in the hell happened?" And they were like, "You were out, buddy. You were almost dead. When we got here, your lips were blue and you were not breathing." So, luckily, my mom came to check in on me because she knew from earlier that day that I was wasted, and she knows what this disease can do to people. She's seen it in me over the years, and it was progressive for me. So I never, I always got worse as the years went by, and she could see. It's almost like she had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. So the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I'm going to take a short break here. I'm going to open up the hotline. So what I'd like to do here, if you see the number at the bottom of the screen, 410-692-8230, feel free to call in. If you have any questions for me about my active addiction, or if you have any topics you want me to talk about on the podcast tonight, feel free to do that. But, I'm about to play a song that recounts that night in the bathroom when I overdosed. It's a song that I wrote from my recollection, which was very little. And it's basically insight in what people that were involved that night had told me. So, for instance, my mom, my dad, and my ex-wife, they were all involved in that night when I had overdosed. And so what I did, I wrote this song based off of what they had told me happened that night in my little recollection. So this song is called Never Forget. Feel free to call into the hotline while this is playing, and we'll get you live on air when we come back. Enjoy. It's been a minute. I'll never forget. April 21st, 2016. The sun is setting lower, the weather's getting colder. I was getting older as my friends were getting sober. It's never too late to pack up and leave. The only thing that's really holding me back is my grief. So I keep drinking and I keep smoking while my family keeps turning their backs in disbelief. I keep telling lies like I don't miss a beat, so I keep getting high like I ain't pissing clean. I keep shooting till I'm blue in the face, lying out on the floor, I'm losing my faith. She's prying open the door hinge, it's 1 in the morning, and over in the next room, daddy is snoring. Rushing to the medicine cabinet, don't wake dad, ashamed to admit that a baby needs rehab. She can't find the Narcan, looking for clues. She feels so hopeless, scared of the truth. Her son gets high, no time to cry. She better think fast, her son might die. Shocked and in fear, yet her son is near death. It isn't something that she's willing to accept. So many lies, just try to forget it. We're losing so many lives to the pipe and syringe. I wanna get clean, but I'm afraid to commit. Some of us have to die so the others can live. Time is of the essence, it's a matter of seconds. She's having flashbacks of her son in adolescence. Helping dig her son's grave wasn't part of the plan. She refocused her attention to the matter at hand. Most nights she's at home and she can't find her son, but tonight she's at home calling 911. Please help were the first words that came to her tongue.
What's the emergency?
She replies,
Quick, it's my son.
the police scan her reports.
We have a 1045
They hurry to the house so that they can revive me. By this time, daddy is aware of the crisis. He's looking at his son as he lays there lifeless, recovering from lung surgery. It's only day 3, he's giving CPR, determined to save me. Mama crying please as she stops to pray, asking God for a miracle like not today. Her son gets high, no time to cry. She better think fast, her son might die. Shocked and in fear, yet her son is near death. It isn't something that she's willing to accept. So many lies, just try to forget it. We're losing so many lives to the pipe and syringe. I wanna get clean, but I'm afraid to commit. Some of us have to die so the others can live. There's a knock at the door, I'm in a critical state. I need help, my heart's beating at a minimal rate. It's a typical case, ODs are expanding. More training and the need for Narcan is demanding. New medic on the job, he said he never used it. My mother had to tell him, show him how to get through it. No time to waste, but she did what she had to.
4 cops crowded around me in the bathroom. Mama's in a panic, I'm laying there hopeless. The 5-0 keeps asking where the dope is. No time, just save my kid. She cries out, fuck heroin, I hate this shit. It's a good thing she was taught how to react. 3 shots of Narcan brought me back. Life has been real ever since that day. I gotta say I love you, Mom, another addict is saved. Her son got high, no time to cry. She thanks God every day, her son survived. Blessed and so grateful that her son was revived. He's getting better every day, her son is A.live. So many lies, just try to forgive. We're losing so many lives to the pipe and syringe. I got clean, and if I can, so can you. The answer isn't a secret, it's in the rooms. And yo, shouts out to everyone who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I wanna thank my mom, my dad, my brother, all my family. I wanna thank B-Rain. I wanna thank D-Rock. And I wanna thank Rem 1. It's the team, Cloud Gang.
So we have somebody live on the A.live hotline right now. So who's on the phone here with me?
How you doing? It's Bradley Bagwell.
Hey Bradley, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Did you write that?
I did write that song. Yes, it
That's
counts.
pretty cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, it's it really. One night I was sitting here in the studio and I felt inspired to just think back on that night and what it must have been like for everyone, like my parents that were there. And it was, you know, it just came to me, and I wrote that song in about 45 minutes and then recorded it the same night. I think it was the same night, but yeah.
I keep losing you. I don't know.
Oh.
Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So what's the name of that song?
That song is called "Never Forget" because you know.
Never forget.
I don't want to ever forget what it's like. What it was like. When
I
was
had
there.
I had listened to that song I think before on is it on B-Rain's like YouTube or something?
So it's actually on my YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Maybe that's where I heard it. Okay. So. Here's a question for you.
Okay.
First, how old are you?
I'm 32 years old.
Okay, that was just for me.
Okay. So I remember. Okay, I remember meeting you out in Dallas at the Recovery's Got Talent auditions. Correct?
Yes, that's right. Yes,
cool.
I should be there tonight. Damn it.
So where do you live, Bradley? Are you in Dallas?
I'm in Texas, but I'm about 4 hours. I'm closer to Austin.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyhow, let's see. Is there a statement or a phrase or something that you know that you're going to carry, that you like carry with you, that's so important that somebody maybe has said that helps you with your sobriety on a daily basis?
That is a very good question. And yes, there is one. For me, it's not very spiritual, so to speak, I guess, but it's a phrase that I always come back to, and that quote, I should say, is this: it's hearing is one of the 5 senses, but listening is an art. Always come back to, and that quote, and so is this. Hey, can you turn down the podcast in the background, Bradley?
Yeah, I'm turning it down. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, it was hearing is one of the 5 senses. Yep, hearing is one of the 5 senses, but listening is an art. And why that is important to me, it's important for several reasons. You know, as you know, I'm a producer. I am an audio engineer, so you know, I really use that sense of hearing when I listen and, you know, mix and master music. But if I apply it to my recovery, it can be applied in the sense that, you know, when I'm at a meeting or I'm talking to somebody in my network or I'm asking my sponsor for suggestions on something, it's important that I listen to him and not just hear what he's saying, but actually listen.
Right.
So I like that phrase. How about you? You have one?
That's a great. That's a great phrase. That's funny. I have many things that people have said that, that matter to me, but I don't think that there's one single one that I can think of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Put me on the spot. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, though. Do you have any other questions for me?
Well, I asked, and I guess that was the night. Is that the night that brought you to serious recovery? That you knew that
that's a good question
had to
too.
change.
And I wish I could say that was. I mean, it was definitely a jarring experience that made me apply like a more vigorous program of recovery, but it wasn't the last time that I used.
Okay.
I shortly after that, I went and got help. I went into a treatment center, and I stayed clean for a couple months after I got out, and then I relapsed again and spent a few months in the summer of 2017, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
That I spent a few months just like using, and that was really my last run. And then I went to treatment again, got clean, and then I moved from Pennsylvania down to Maryland, which is where I am now. So,
how long were you in treatment?
The last time I was in treatment, it was 28 days, something like that.
Well, that's not bad, but to me, heroin's different. Did you do meth also?
I've never experimented with that drug. No.
Well, that's good. But with meth, it took me a good 6 months to start getting my where I could think straight.
Yeah.
But heroin's a little different. I mean, when I took a lot of pills, so I kind of know that would have been my next step if I'd have stayed out there.
Yeah.
Because I ran into the same situation where there's nothing else available, and everything became hard to find and all of that stuff. So luckily I got arrested.
Yeah. And sometimes
I'm
that's what it
thankful
takes,
for that now.
Sometimes that's what it takes. That was just God's way of really intervening in your life. And
yeah.
Maybe is that when you realized you needed to change your life and the way you were living?
Yes, because I was in jail for a little time, probably, I think it was 11 months altogether. And, while I was in there, I had a change of heart. But in the beginning of it, no, I was like, I want to go out there. I can't wait to get out there and do it again,
Yeah.
But probably about 3 months in, when I started being able to think straight, and I surrendered, there in jail. I knew that I needed to quit.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's amazing what drugs can do, and how the things that I'm going to give my testimony on No More Heroin on Tuesday.
Oh, with Higgy?
And it's the first time I've ever given my testimony. And it's awesome. Really kind of a scary thing, just like you're experiencing tonight. It's like,
sure.
What all do I put out there? It's just this big tangled web of shit, before I tried the hardcore drugs. And then it became a whole other,
sure.
thing of shit. So
how long,
I don't know what all...
How long do you have clean, Bradley?
Well, when I got out of jail, I had 15... I was 15 months clean, and I relapsed, but now I have 8 months. So, and let me tell you, when I relapsed and I went back, that was the lowest I'd felt in over a year. That whole week I was just like, do I run and keep going, keep doing this? But I had all these people on Facebook, all these people missing my videos and all that stuff, and it made me want to get back on track. So I don't know what I'd have done without everybody rooting for me,
That's right, yeah.
And
it takes,
there's some really good...
It takes a village, it takes a village of people to not raise, but, support sick and suffering addict in recovery, because they're just learning how to walk again. So.
Pick you up by your bootstraps and help you, and carry on, and then you end up helping them. So it's a we thing for sure.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm not going to take all your time,
Sure.
but thanks for answering my questions. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Well, hey, Bradley, congratulations on your clean time. You know, I look forward to hearing your testimony on No More Heroin series.
Yes.
So,
I will send you an invite. Thanks, Aaron.
hey,
you have a great
keep
night.
keep doing the right thing, Bradley. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, you too. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. So there you have it. That was Bradley, and she was calling from Dallas, or Houston, Texas, rather, that area. I had the pleasure of meeting her at the auditions for Recovery's Got Talent, which is actually the event that's going on right now live in Dallas, Texas at the Majestic Theater. You know, and we are Cloud Gang with B Rain, Rem One, and Joe Nestor. They're headlining that, and they're the main performers there. Well, let's jump back into this podcast. And hey, the phone line is going to be open. If there's anything you want to talk about, feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to take your call live on air. Just keep in mind that this is a live show, and we can't go back. But I want to get to a question that my brother had here. He posted on the live feed, and it says, question from the chat: how can non-addicts, aka those that don't fully understand the chains of addiction, best assist friends and family in their recovery? And so that's a great question, Zach. And I think that the simple answer is just be supportive. And if you see any signs of a family member or a friend or a loved one that raise red flags, hold them accountable to that. And really, that's the simple answer. So I hope I answered your question. I want to move back into, a little bit more about that song that I played that was called Never Forget. I mentioned Narcan in there, and that's what saved my life, and I just want to do a little quick bit on that because I believe it's important. I believe, just like I said earlier, that Narcan is one of those things where it's better to have it and not need it than to not have it and need it. And so what is Narcan? This is one of the brands of Narcan is what it looks like. It's a real easy process. You can actually get these from your state health department. Gives these away free. At least in Maryland and Pennsylvania they do. You can go to the pharmacy and you can buy them. So if you know somebody in active addiction, and you just want to be able to provide them with a lifeline should they overdose and need to be administered this stuff. So how does it work? There's several different kinds of Narcan, and what this stuff does, once it gets in your bloodstream, it basically wakes someone up from overdose, and it saved my life. It took, I think, 4 shots of this stuff to bring me out of my near-death experience when I overdosed. So why are there 2 different ones? So this one here is the actual Narcan that contains the medicine. This one right here is a trainer kit. So what do? The trainer kit, it says pull this device up from the case. So once I pull this, it actually gives us a directions. So I'm going to pull this off and I'm going to let you hear what it says.
This trainer contains no needle or drug. If you are ready to use, pull off red safety guard.
Okay, so where's the red safety guard?
If not ready to use, replace the outer case.
Okay, let's just say we're ready to use this. We have somebody in dire need and needs their life saved. So I pull that off.
End against outer thigh.
Okay.
Then press firmly and hold in place for 5 seconds.
We're just going to pretend that this is my thigh here, just for
To
purposes.
inject, place black end against outer thigh. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Injection complete.
And so that's all it takes.
May be reused for training
All
purposes.
right, let's turn this thing off.
The red safety guard.
So that's all it really takes to save someone's life who's overdosing. And I just wanted to let that sink in for a minute, because if you don't have that stuff and you come across somebody, it might even be a stranger on the street and they have the signs of an overdose. If you don't have that stuff and you can't do anything to help them. Really, you can't do anything. There's old myths from back in the day. They would say, well, pour a bucket of ice water on their face and they'll come out of it. That doesn't work, you know, because what opioids do is they slow down your breathing to a point where you stop breathing and then your heart stops. You know, and a bucket of ice water is not gonna fix that. So I just thought that was an educational thing to bring up. And that actually kind of extends the answer to that question of how can non-addicts best assist friends and family members in their recovery, you know? So that's it. That's my little bit on Narcan. You can get this stuff from your state health department for free. They give it away. They hand it out, which I think is great. You can also go to your pharmacy. And my girlfriend actually bought one yesterday just to have it because, like I told her, you know, it's just one of those things that is better to have and not need than to need it and not have it. And I told her, and she went out and got one. I think she said she spent less than $10 to get one injection. Now, keep in mind, it took 4 injections to bring me out of my overdose before. So it might be handy to have at least 2. And have them, you know, keep them in your car, keep them in your home if there's someone living with you in active addiction, you know. So it's just one of those things that I thought was a useful piece of information to have. So I'm in recovery now. You know, I'm celebrating 1 year clean on March the 3rd, and my clean date is February the 18th, 2018. So I'm coming up in 11 days on 1 year clean. I've never had 1 year clean before. I've never been this involved in my recovery. So what's different about this time? What happened that, or what am I doing differently that's keeping me clean up until this point? Great question, A.live. So I'm going to answer that. First and foremost, you know, I moved from Pennsylvania to Maryland, and they say, it's very commonly said, that a geographical change is not going to, you know, cure you of addiction. And that's very true. And while that is true, there's also some other circumstances. I don't rely on the geographical change to keep me clean. That was just one of the factors that made it easy for me to leave my old life behind. So now what do I do to stay clean on a daily basis from drugs, alcohol, what have you? I do a lot of different things. And a couple of the most important things, now they're all, I think, equally important, but it's hard to find a balance in daily life. So what are the things that I make sure that I do on a regular basis that have helped me stay clean throughout this almost a year of being 100% clean of any mood or mind altering substances? So I've done, one of the most important things for me was when I moved down here, I built a network of people in recovery around me. Because look at it like, I don't really have a good metaphor for this, but I'll just show you. If you have a circle of people in recovery who are surrounding you, and you're in the middle of that circle, isn't it going to be harder to get picked off the edges of the circle when you're in the middle? So I stay in the middle. I stay in the middle of my network, the middle of my recovery program, and I do a number of things that help me stay in the middle. So what are some of those things? I have a home group. What's a home group? A home group is a meeting that I attend regularly, and I have a commitment there. What kind of commitment? The commitment that I have, and there are many commitments at a home group level. There's a commitment called secretary. So I basically run the meeting. Now, I'm not in charge of the meeting, but I follow guidelines to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly and the way it's supposed to. So I show up early to my home group every week. It's once a week on Sunday. And I socialize with people outside. And that's one of the ways I continue to build my network. I get to know new people. I welcome new recovering addicts into the program. You know, I talk to my predecessors. What's a predecessor? A predecessor is someone who's been clean for a significant amount of time that came before me that can help show me what they did to stay clean. So it's taking suggestions, which is another thing that has helped me stay clean. Man, there's so much that has helped me stay clean. I talked about service, and not only do I have service at a home group level, I have service at an area level. So what's an area level? An area level is, so we have all these meetings all over Maryland, really all over the country, all over the world. And those meetings are separated into different areas, different regions. And, you know, within an area, there could be 20 meetings, there could be 50 meetings. Our area has, I'm not sure, I would say probably around anywhere from 15 to 20 meetings in 1 week that cycle each week. So within the area, I have a commitment and a subcommittee, and the subcommittee that I'm a part of is special events. So we plan special events for people in recovery to come and learn how to have a good time clean without the use of drugs and alcohol. And I say drugs and alcohol, but really alcohol is a drug, you know. And when we separate the two, the message of recovery kind of gets blurred. So I'm just going to say drugs from here on out. So, you know, I talked about home group, service, commitment, and network, my network of people. And my network really just consists of men in recovery. There are women that I talk to in recovery. When I see them, I say hi, and I ask how they're doing and things like that. But the core network of men in my recovery are people that I can call, that I know and feel comfortable calling on a regular basis when my ass is on fire. So meaning like if I'm having a hard time with something or just going through life struggles. And it's not like I don't have cravings every now and then, but the amount of cravings that I've had to use any mood or mind altering substances, any drugs, has gone from way up here to way down here. And every now and then the thought will occur. And as long as I don't obsess over that thought, it won't turn into a craving. And so I try not to think about it. And I really just fill my life with other things that are more important to me today, like my family, my network, my friends, my loved ones, my hobbies, my job, you know, my girlfriend, and spending time with her. You know, she's amazing. And I'm blessed to have all these people around me that want to just see me do better than where I was at before. And so that's really what a network is. So another important part of the thing that one of the things that I do to keep me clean is step work. Now, I don't bring up any certain specific 12-step programs because it violates one of our traditions. But I'm in a 12-step program, and I practice spiritual principles. And I learn these spiritual principles by doing the step work. And the step work also teaches me about myself and my patterns and the people that I've hurt in my addiction. And it teaches me about a higher power who I choose to call God. You know, it's important to have a higher power. You can call him whatever you want. I choose to call my higher power God. And so doing that step work is super important, because without the step work in a 12-step program, you're not really in a 12-step program. You're in a 12-step fellowship. So I work on my step work. And then I go over the questions that I answer about the step work with my sponsor, and he'll share his experience, strength, and hope with those certain topics that we talk about in our step work. So step work is very important. You know, there's just so many things, and the list could go on and on and on. But, you know, I just want to encourage people that may be struggling, or family members who have another family member in addiction, that there is a better way, and there is a way that works. And if you need resources to get somebody into treatment, or if you want to go to treatment yourself, just hit the hotline. There's so many people that I know in my recovery network that work in this field of recovery. And we can get you into treatment tomorrow, you know. And that's a beautiful thing, man. Just to know that those resources are out there to help the next sick and suffering addict. Because, you know, when we're in our active addiction, man, we when we're ready to go to treatment, like, we're ready to go. And if we're ready to go now and we can't get into somewhere tomorrow, forget about it. We might not want to do it tomorrow, you know? And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. So, I'm just laughing because I got a text on my phone. But let me see here. I'm getting a little off track. My brother also said, wow, do you know if anyone, user or not, can obtain those to keep safety kit or something? To keep in a safety kit. Yeah, so Zach, back to the Narcan. You can get Narcan from your state health department. So you should just be able to call them and get the address and shoot over there. Well, I would call them first and say, hey, do you guys give out free Narcan or some Narcan samples, or do you sell Narcan? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to give it away because this is a pandemic. Like I said before, the opioid pandemic, you know, it's nationwide, it's worldwide. This tool of Narcan, that's the tester. This is what it looks like. This tool of Narcan is available from your state health department. So check that out. You should be able to get it there, Zach. If not, you can just go to the pharmacy and get some doses from them. I think it's less than $10 for one dose, but I would just keep a couple in your emergency kit, safety kit, whatever. And you know, I'm gonna jump onto that topic real quick because earlier today I was scrolling my Facebook and I saw a friend had texted or had put up a Facebook post, and he said a temporary employee at our job overdosed today. He's lucky that someone at the job had Narcan. And when I saw that today on my Facebook feed, I thought, you know, this is a good thing to talk about tonight on the podcast. So, you know, Narcan, get it. If you don't have it, get it. It's something that's better to have in case you need it. So, yeah, I'd like to hear from some more people, you know, so feel free to hit the hotline, 410-692-8230. And I am just going to jump back and take a quick musical break and talk about what that is here in a second. And when I get back from that, I'm just going to talk about what this first year of recovery was like for me. Some of the things that I've been through, the hard times and the good times when I get back. I am going to play this song. This next song is from the album A.live Panda Presents B Rain, The Electronic Journey. And if you don't know who B Rain is, check him out on Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, Instagram, wearecloudgang.com. B Rain is a rapper in recovery. I have the honor of recording his music, and he's been a big part of my recovery. I actually live with him and his family, and you know, they welcomed me down to their home with open arms, and that's one of the factors that has allowed me to stay clean for this past year. So I'm forever grateful for B Rain and the McCall family for bringing me into their home and taking me in as a family. You know, it feels like family when they're here, and you know, I miss them. And they're at the Majestic Theater in Dallas right now doing Recovery's Got Talent show. So I actually am doing a remix album where I'm taking electronic dance music beats made by other artists, and I'm remixing B Rain's songs over them. So this one is called Ain't Nothing Funny, and that's Mind Remix featuring Kai and Jack U. And basically this song is about addiction and losing people in addiction. So this Electronic Journey album is not finished yet, but I plan on releasing it in this spring. So hope you guys enjoy this.
Hey man. Rest in peace, my man Jason. I love you, homie. Anybody that's lost one, this is real.
You love how you push me to the point of crazy, and I love when you're on your knees and begging for me. You got me good with all these mind games. There you go, you got my heart again. Say my name, I wanna hear you call.
a couple homies, they be asking how I'm living. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I living now, ain't nothing funny. I said I never go to sleep, man, I'm on a mission. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I living now, ain't nothing funny. 5 homies last night, found them with the flashlight. Depths of the darkness, bent spoon and a crack pipe. It's like he jackknife right up on the road. 18 months clean, ready, set, go. Like he never regretted the path he was headed. And now he forever indebted to this shiny new penny. He got that blowing confetti, one eye open like Fetty. Wop as I watch him digging in the cup of Ferretti. He want that one more piece, thinking it'll make it better. Long as he right there with her, she ain't gotta shake a feather. He bring the money, she bring the pain. She asking him how much you love me, don't say it, just put it in my vein. She want that rush, he want that touch. They say they don't need nobody else, cause all we need is us. And nothing could be further from the truth. So every time we close the meeting, I'm giving a moment of silence to you.
I wanna hear you call. Hold me close, I wanna feel your heart. I'm in a cold sweat and I want you back.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
You got me all in my head like that.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how to love again. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how to love again. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how to love again. I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how.
Man, ain't nothing funny. I got a couple homies, they be asking how I'm living. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I living now, ain't nothing funny. I said I never go to sleep, man, I'm on a mission. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I living now, ain't nothing funny. Ain't no way to get rid of this shit, is insidious. And you thinking it's only affecting the inner city kids. From the county to the country and all across the globe. People thinking they finding love from what they put inside their nose. My homie sent me a text that I see you on the other side and I only wish you the best. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? But it was just radio silence as I listened for the sirens. I didn't know what was next. Did he take his last breath? Did he take his own life? Cause he didn't know what was left. I'm sitting here looking at my phone so powerless. Like what can I do right now to get him out of this? I'm dialing frantic. Man, I'm trying not to panic. I know right at this very second he's dying, it's apparent. It was 2 months to the day that I got his last message. All I can hope is that he's at peace with where he's resting.
I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how.
Man, ain't nothing funny.
I'ma show you how, show you how, show you how.
Man, ain't nothing funny. I got a couple homies, they be asking how I'm living. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I living now, ain't nothing funny. I said I never go to sleep, man, I'm on a mission. I told you that I'm staying clean, thinking that I'm kidding. Man, ain't nothing funny. See me how I living now, ain't nothing funny.
And that was Ain't Nothing Funny by B Rain. That's the Mind remix featuring Kai and Jack U. Yo, so I wanted to let you all know that We Are Cloud Gang has an exciting show coming up. And I'm going to put the information on the screen here in just a second. The show is called It Takes a Village featuring B Rain. So if you like that last song, come out to the show. It's at Baltimore Soundstage on February 24th at 6 p.m. And you might ask, where can I get tickets? Well, I'll tell you where you can get tickets. You can hit the hotline. I got tickets for you. B Rain's got tickets for you. Rem 1, Joe Nestor, Jam Walker, The Kid M, Prospect, and Los, who will all be performing that night. We all have tickets for you. Or you can go to Ticketmaster.com and in the search bar type It Takes a Village featuring B Rain. And the information for that is up on the screen right now. So again, who's performing? You know, B Rain's the headliner, but we also have some other great acts. Joe Nestor's coming up from Florida. Jam Walker's coming down from Chicago. Rem 1, a local Baltimorean here. and the Kid M, he's also from Westminster, Maryland, and then Prospect and Los, who are from Southern Maryland, and we're all in recovery. And we're gonna put on an awesome show for you guys. You'll come see me, A.live Panda, on stage with B Rain and We Are Cloud Gang. So make sure you guys check that out. That's February 24th. And also tune into the podcast on Saturday with my man Matty Ice, who just tuned in. And I want to thank you for tuning in, bro. Matty Ice is gonna be the spotlight guest on Sunday's podcast at 1 p.m. live here from the A.live podcast studio. So you can also hit him up for tickets too. But yeah, we're excited for that. And the $1 million question. So what is the $1 million question, you might ask? So A-Live's going to tell you what the $1 million question is. So I've had a lot of people ask me, why the panda? Why the panda? What's the panda all about? And if you look around the room, you'll see a bunch of panda stuff. I got a panda on my shirt. There's a panda painting over there. There's freaking... I'm backwards over here. There's a panda head. And really, I'll move this so you can see a little better. There's the panda head. So how did the panda come to be? Who is the panda? What is it all about? So, this panda head that's behind me on the bed here, that's right, because the podcast studio is also my bedroom, which a lot of you, probably all you do not know that, but, the panda head was purchased by B Rain at Walmart for $20, about a little over a year ago, I guess. And, thanks, babe. And, this panda head that was purchased for $20, I see B Rain rolling up to a meeting in his car with his head on. I'm like, look at this guy, acting a fool. And so I was like, what's up with that, bro? Where'd you get that? He's like, oh, I bought it for the Live My Life music video. So he was just at Walmart looking for props for this music video that he was shooting, which is also on my YouTube page. You can check that out after the podcast. And I started asking him about it and, this stuff and, why the panda. And he's like, I don't know. I just thought it was cool. And so I don't know exactly how it came to be, man, but like I put the head on and I was like, I just felt, I don't know how I felt, man. I felt like I should do something with this. Like this, I could make this into something. And so, you think about all those other DJs, Dead Mouse, Marshmello, and they wear these heads when they're on stage spinning tunes. And I felt like one of those guys when I put it on, and it felt good. It felt like it honestly, it felt like a drug. Like it took me outside of myself. And so, I took that feeling and I turned it into something positive. And I came up with the name A.live Panda, because if you think about Dead Mouse, he's a dead mouse, And I was like, well, I'm not dead anymore. I'm in recovery. I'm no longer sick and suffering due to active addiction. So I'm alive. And I was like, A.live Panda. A.live Panda. I'll roll with that. And so my first name is Aaron, and I was like, A.live. A. That's where the A comes from. And then I'm live. But, I feel like I'm over-explaining it. But then I started thinking about it more, and I was like, well, pandas are endangered species. They're on the endangered species list. And if you think about it, so are addicts and active addiction. But we don't have to be a statistic today. We can be in recovery and continue to survive. So, A.live Panda. And I started implementing it in B Rain's live shows, coming out on stage and getting the crowd hype. And, it works well. I feel like if you bring children to our show, it gives them something to look forward to and something exciting that they, I don't know if I say they could relate to it, but you see that sparkle in a child's eye when he sees me come out on a panda with a panda head on it. It's funny. I've approached some children with it on, and like they get scared, man. Like they don't know what to do. So, on one hand it's fun, the other hand it's scary. But but when it comes down to it, it's really just meant for fun. And I just kind of embody that. And so I've always wanted to do a podcast for the past couple years. I've been watching podcasts. I have some people that influence me in the podcast world, and I was like, this is really cool. I want to do a recovery podcast, and I already had the audio equipment to be able to do a lot of it. I just needed to get some cameras and get the right programs and things, and finally I had all the right equipment to be able to do it. And I was like, I know I want it to be about a recovery, but how should I format this? And one day I was like, you know what, let's just do it. And I went live, and you can see the first episode on my YouTube, but it's changed a lot since the first episode, and the quality has gotten better, and the traction from the listeners. So it's been really cool, and that's one of the exciting things that happened in my recovery. And like I said, when I came back from the song, I was going to talk a little bit about what this last year was like for me in recovery. And so a lot of cool things happened, a lot of great things happened, but also a lot of things happened that were really hard to get through. And I look back now, and I'm like, well, at the time when I was going through these certain things, I was like, I couldn't believe that I was like going through certain things that I would have used over before, because it didn't matter what it was. Just waking up before made me want to use every day. Nothing had to trigger it. But when big life events happened in my active addiction, I would use it as an excuse to try to escape even more. And it gave me a reason, an excuse to justify that it was okay that I was using right now because X, Y, and Z just happened. And so, a lot of things, minimal and major things happened in my first year of recovery, and I'm not going to be able to talk about all of them. I told myself I wasn't going to go past 9 o'clock, so we're going to wrap things up soon. But just some of the things that happened. About 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with hepatitis C from using drugs intravenously, if I'm saying that right. And so I went to the gastroenterologist doctor, and he was like, just continue to follow up with me every 6 months, and he would submit to my insurance company to try and get the get the medication for me, which is very hard to get it because it's expensive. It's like a $50,000 treatment. But once you get the medication, it does cure and get rid of hepatitis permanently, hepatitis C anyways. And so I was diagnosed with hepatitis C, and it took me 4 years to get approved for the medication. And I saw him 4 different times. Each time that he submitted to my insurance company to get the medication, I was denied. I was denied because I was struggling. They're not going to give the medication to an addict who's still back and forth or in the grips of active addiction, because they don't want you to contract it again after you're cured. You have to have 6 months clean. It's required by the insurance companies. So just since this first year of my recovery, I was finally accepted by my insurance company to get the treatment. And, this spring, I believe it was last spring of 2018 or the summer or something like that. I think it was actually the summer, July through August. I took the medication for about 8 weeks. And after the medication was done, got my blood work done, no traces of hepatitis C. No traces whatsoever. And then I just got my 6-month follow-up blood work done about 2 weeks ago. Still no traces of hepatitis C. So I can officially say I've been from hepatitis C. It feels great. So that was one of the things that was amazing that happened to me in this first year of recovery. I was super pumped about it. I'm still super pumped, and it's honestly just sharing that with you guys. It may give hope to the next sick and suffering addict who has hepatitis C, and they think, this is it. Like, I really fucked it up this time, because that's what I thought. I thought, like, I'm gonna die of hepatitis C, cirrhosis of the liver, because that's what happens. It's a liver disease, and eventually you'll get cirrhosis, and it'll scar your liver, and your liver is not able to break down and process those toxins out of your body. So you end up dying from cirrhosis. if you go untreated from hepatitis C for 20 to 30 years. So it's a slow progressive illness, but it does kill a lot of people. So that was that. And, I also got into a pretty bad car accident, which totaled my car. I was sitting at a red light, and someone just came slamming into the back of me while they were texting on their phone. It totaled my car, and I went to the hospital. And at the hospital, they wanted to offer me pain medication, but before they even got to that point, I let them know that I'm in recovery from, painkillers, opiates, heroin, stuff like that. And so they knew. I let them know ahead of time, like, hey, I don't want any painkillers. I'm in recovery. So they prescribed me a anti-inflammatory, which is not mood or mind altering in any form. And I took that as prescribed. And they also wrote me a prescription for physical therapy. So I followed up with the treatment, got through that. I'm pain free today, because I followed the directions of the doctors. And that just goes to show you don't need pain meds to fix a physical ailment. So my grandfather also died this past 2018, and it was my last grandparent that was surviving. The other three I had lost in the grips of my addiction, and I wasn't able to stay clean through those experiences. And so I wasn't able to be there for my family that was also grieving the loss of the loved ones. And, that sucks. But I'm happy to say that my grandfather, I was able to be there and show up for my loved ones and stay clean through that process, and feel those raw emotions of loss. And, looking back, I'm just grateful that I was able to be a part of that, clean, and know I did the right thing. So, what else happened? Yeah, I filed for my divorce about 2.5 weeks ago. Me and my wife had gotten to a point in our relationship where, the lifestyle that I was living was taking a toll, and I became uninterested in her. It was hard for her to take care of me when I wasn't even willing to take the steps to try and take care of myself. And so we separated 2 years ago as of February the 14th on Valentine's Day, 2 years ago. So we finally just decided to finalize the divorce, and there's no doubt in my mind that it was the right thing to do for both of us, because I had to let go of her so that I'm able to move on in my process of recovery and free myself of her. And she had to free herself from me too and move on with her life, because we were just holding one another back. And, I didn't want to continue to do that anymore. So we decided to move on. It's all good. We're in better places today because we decided to do just that. And so I went through going through a divorce, be finalized in about 2.5 months. And I'm grateful for that. And it honestly, it gives me the freedom to discover who Aaron is and what does Aaron really want out of life. And, it gave me the opportunity to meet someone else who is just phenomenal and supportive of me in my recovery. And I'm grateful for her. So I have her in my life now, and we've been able to do a lot of exciting things together. So that's been really cool. I've been able to build relationships with my family that I never thought was possible. And it's funny, I've gotten the opportunity in this past year to travel to many different states. I had the opportunity to go to Rhode Island, which I never thought I would be going there ever in my life. I thought, it took 20 minutes to drive through. And if I was going to go in Rhode Island, I was just going to drive through it to get to Massachusetts or something. But I actually spent time in Rhode Island, and, when we stay clean and we chase our dreams, man, shit can happen. And we are Cloud Gang with B Rain, Rem 1, DJ D-Rock, and me, A.live Panda. We got to open up for Macklemore and Fits in the Tantrums in Rhode Island, and that was freaking awesome, man. Like, we went to Ohio to do a show. We just got back from Dallas, Texas 3 weeks ago. We filmed a music video, which is going to drop hopefully within the next week. And I went out to Oregon, and the last time I was out in Oregon with illegal weed, I partook in that, and this time I was accountable. Before I even went out there, I let my network know, hey, like, there's legal weed out there. I want to keep myself accountable and let you know that, A, I don't want to do that and partake in that, but B, like, if I need to call you, I'm going to call you, so just be aware. And so I, being accountable for that before I even went out there, it wasn't even an issue. It wasn't an issue. And being out in Oregon and trying to find out where I fit in and what is my role in the family, because my brother lives out there. And, how do I be a brother? Like, that's one thing I was never able to do before. So I'm excited to see what that relationship has in store. And I know that God will, bless us with that relationship tenfold. So I'm excited to see what that has to offer, and just being a son and a friend today. That's the most important thing that I've earned in this past year of recovery, is just being able to be there for people other than myself. Because in active addiction, like I said earlier, I didn't care about anybody or anything, just that next fix. So listen, guys, I'm going to leave the hotline open for another 5 minutes or so. If you want to call in and ask any questions about anything I talked about, or just say what's up, feel free to hit the hotline now. So I'm going to let that open for another 5 minutes, and we're going to get things wrapped up here. Again, we've got a couple exciting things going on. We got Matty Ice on the podcast this Sunday. What's this Sunday's date? Let's see here. This Sunday will be February the 10th, and I'll have Matt C on the podcast with me. You still coming to the podcast, Matt? I hope so. Drop a comment in the live feed. But no, listen, if I ever have a speaker lined up for the podcast and, not able to make it, then I'll just do one of these solo podcasts again. Because this was actually a lot of fun and informative, and I'm able to revisit my past, and see how I've grown and see what this program of recovery has done for me. Matt, why don't you hit the podcast? Zach, Mom, anybody who's watching, feel free to hit the podcast, because I'm about to shut it down, and I'd really like to hear from somebody else. The number is 410-692-8230, and that's the A-Live hotline. So in the meantime, just got to make a couple more quick announcements. So again, It Takes a Village with B Rain, featuring B Rain, with special guests Joe Nestor, Rem 1, Jam Alker, to Kid M, Prospect, and Los. And we're going to be at Baltimore Soundstage at 6 p.m. on Sunday, February the 24th. Get your tickets now. You can get your tickets on Ticketmaster.com. In the search bar, just type in It Takes a Village with, featuring B Rain, and you'll find tickets that way. All the artists on the show have tickets available. Hit their, private message their inbox on Facebook. You can hit my hotline, and I'll be happy to meet up with you. And the tickets are $12 a piece. So, all right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure to be on the podcast with you guys today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I'm going to leave you with this. If you're struggling or know somebody who's struggling in active addiction and they need help, or they just don't know what to do, give them my number, 410-692-8230. I'd be happy just to even talk to them, or help them get into treatment somewhere. You know, like I said earlier, I have so many resources, man. And look, this is what recovery does for me, man. It gives me hope. But if you just look at the visual evidence here again, this was a picture of me in active addiction. And here's another picture. And it's just visual evidence this program of recovery does work, and it can save lives. It can save lives. So, you know, I'm happy to be there for somebody who may be struggling. So just reach out to me. Because people did it for me. So, hey, with that, guys, I want to thank everybody for watching the A.live Podcast, episode 11. Tune in for episode 12 with Matt C. That is Matty Ice on Sunday at 1 p.m. live on www.youtube.com/A.live Panda. Peace.
Subscribe now at A.live Panda on YouTube.